We have seen that with respect to the local governments,
Yes.
because, I mean, the National Assembly, House of Reps, they say it, that they try to give them financial autonomy to ensure that they live up to what they were set out to do. But surprisingly, they said they didn't want it. So how do we reconcile our need for that development?
You see, that is the tragedy of Nigeria. The leadership recruitment process is very faulty. You hardly hear those of us who call ourselves leaders that will ever pay a growing tribute to forefathers. Have you ever listened to any American making speech without reference to their forefathers? They will tell you that what their forefathers gave to them, that they will ever keep their democracy ever young, their federalism ever young, because they have seen that the level of development that have attained by US was because of that. Now, what happens here? Where you hear that a state house of assembly, for instance, to be given autonomy, they said they were not, they voted against their own freedom. This is because, at the moment, and I've said it everywhere, I'm saying this because those who were governor yesterday, who put up a system of what we call structural capture, are today victims of the system they put in place, now being sustained. Most of them, former governor before, they can't go back to their state. They can't even do anything anymore. This is because, at the moment, governor determines who can become a councillor. The governor determines who can become a local government chairperson. The governor determines who can be a member of the House of Assembly. Governor determines who can become a member of the House of Representatives. Governors also determine who can be a senator. In fact, they also determine who can be a minister in the federal cabinet. This is what Dr. Ackerman referred to as structural capture. So the point is, today, if you look at the local government system, which is supposed to be engine room of development, it is already stifled. And Nigerians are not paying attention because this may interest Nigerian people. INEC and FOSECON, or under the body of FOSECON, INEC and the state electoral bodies, we had a meeting in Lorry to do an auditing of the entire local government, 774 in Nigeria. It was to our utmost chagrin that currently, out of 30 states of the Federation, 9 states do not have duly constituted electoral body at the state level.
Wow. And who constitutes the electoral body?
So it is the state. No, it's not INEC.
The governor.
It is states by virtue of section 7 of the Constitution. 2, we discovered that out of 30 states of the Federation, only 13 have conducted local government elections. We are not even looking at the standard and all that, whether it made in this year, after all, even the one we also conducting, we are also having issue and all that. But at least we must be saying that something, a semblance of what is near to is going on. It's not going on. We also know the implication of that is that out of 774 local government in Nigeria, only 263 have conducted, operate under democracy. Whereas majority of local government, 511, are not under democracy at the moment.
Any semblance of
yes,
democracy.
at all. There's no election to be conducted, operating under caretaker committee. Now, and that is why there's a total structural capture of the entire system. And so talking about development, you cannot begin to have development taking place in local government where, for instance, people were not elected, people who were handpicked are taking charge of that very place. And so, talking about development, return to federalism, which is the roadmap for us. Everything that our forefathers put in place, we destroyed everything. I was in the airport 2 days ago when a retired general was lamenting what he described as uncompleted project he would have done. That he had opportunity, he has so many local government which he influenced in creating his own home state. I don't want to mention the state. That if he knew, he would have created more. And so, if you look at the constitution at the moment, there are fundamental provisions that will bring about development in the country. But we also know that there's a kind of structural gridlock at the moment. And that is why we appear to be always debating every day.
All right. If we look at the federating units, you talked about the fact that these governors, so much they can do and do.
Yes.
How then, if that were, as is the case, yet states are grappling with development issues, both structurally and otherwise. They're requesting for more funds from the federal government to states. If at this rate, and we talk about giving them, if it's regional autonomy or true federalism, we're not going to be in danger of sorts because most of this development has to go on in states for the country to develop.
You see, no, the point is this. At the moment, I am aware that the National Assembly, they are currently making efforts to bring about autonomy for the local government system. I am also aware that that effort may not succeed because you will require the two-thirds of the 36 states of the Federation to allow for that autonomy, which means that the fund for local government will be independent, separated. You know, we have this joint state account.
Yeah.
Now, federalism, we must get the idea right because we are a different people. But we want to live together. We want to submit some measure of our sovereignty to a body, whereas we maintain certain areas while we cooperate on some other area. It's the very basis. And you discover that if you look at all the countries that were at the same level of development that are practicing federalism, you will see that they have gone far.
They adjusted at
Look,
some point.
yes, look at Singapore, for instance. Singapore was thrown out of Malaysia Federation in 1965. What was the reason? They said Singapore was contributing nothing to the Malaysian Federation. And so they were kicked out of the Federation as at that time. Nature has been so brutal till this day to Singapore, to the extent that even the water they drink is imported till this day. But they recognize of the capacity that the most critical resource, particularly from that time, even more in this time, is the human resources. And so they developed a society, you know, that was different from any of its neighbors. The result is that today, Singapore, even though it does not even have petroleum, has over 30 refineries in Singapore. Singapore standard of living was even higher than an average American as we speak because of what they have done. So they said that Dr. Mahatma Gandhi, who was a student at National University of South Korea, when Singapore was under Malaysia Federation, you know, he was challenged. He had to go back and study what happened in Singapore. That was himself also was challenged by Japan. I mean, you look at Japan. Yeah, they have nothing. Now, when you interact with them, you interrogate what has accelerated their development. It is the system they have put in place that allows development to go on, and that's why the state are supposed to be centers of development and local government.
You said something earlier.
And a skewed arrangement that we have now, that you have so much power over there. Every month,
The center is so strong. You said so. The center is so strong, so much that the federating units are somewhat suffocated.
Yes.
The question is, if we're going to adjust and restructure, like the example you gave of Singapore, do you think the center or those at the head of the center will give room for that to take place?
You see, that's the mentality of rent collectors. You see, a rent collector behaves that way. And all part of Nigerians, of Nigeria, those who you refer to, they constitute this tribe of people who think this way. We have agreed here. Has anybody disputed the fact that the greatest period of development in Nigeria was the First Republic? Nobody. What we have seen, I mean, I heard people talk about state creation. All this while. Look, state creation is further weakening the polity. The only state that can be created on the basis of what is fair, on what is just, on the basis of what is logical, is just one state for the Southeast. I know that even my own people, they talk about state creation. I say, look, our problem is not state creation. All right? It's not state creation. But what do we do with the state that we have right now in terms of development?